Hi, you guys. It's me, your PlayStation gamer, Chaos Val, and I'm coming back to start my part 3 of my PS4 collection videos, or game collection videos, whatever, you know what I mean. And let's see, where did I leave off last time? Oh, yes, I remember. I left off on Empires. Great game, but let's go watch that if you want me to talk about that. Okay, let's start this thing off right away. First up, we got The Elder Scrolls Online, which, to be honest with you, I haven't really played much because everyone who has ever followed the whole Elder Scrolls thing, I was really, at first I was really into wanting to start the Elder Scrolls Online because I was like, I love the Elder Scrolls games. Like, I mean, I started when, for Oblivion when it came out for the PS3, and I've been hooked ever since. Like, I got Skyrim, and I probably wasted at least 500 hours of my life playing Skyrim. Jesus. Now that I think about it, it's like, and then I was like, all right, an Elder Scrolls MMO. Like, I mean, I'm not really too much into MMOs, like, not really kind of my thing. But I was like, oh, an Elder Scrolls based one, like that would probably actually be fun. So I got Elder Scrolls Online. Like, I mean, I was into it back when it was supposed to be out. Yeah, I'm drinking my water again. Sorry, I got okay. Screw that. Let's get off that topic. I was into the whole Elder Scrolls Online MMO, and it was technically supposed to be launched with at the same time on the console and on PC. But as anyone could probably tell you, or if you already know, that the game didn't quite come out on console, but it did still come out on PC. But I don't play PC games really. I mean, I have a Steam, but I really only just play visual novels on my computer, really. So screw that. But then it was like finally after so long, they came out with the Elder Scrolls Online. They gave us, on the console, they gave us some added benefits because of it taking so long. Like if you pre-order, you got the pre-order bonus for being able to create any race you want for any faction because there are like 3 factions, and if you don't have the pre-order bonus code for any race, there's only like a set selection of races per faction. Like one faction can only have like elf types, and another faction can only have like red guards and Nords, and like the basic like warrior, more prone type people, that kind of stuff. But okay, let me make sure I was putting that back where it belongs. And then I started playing the game. It was like, and starting out, it wasn't too bad. Like it had the typical beginning. You're a prisoner as always. You're some kind of criminal or in jail or for whatever fucking reason you're in a prison or cell or whatever. You're about to be held accountable for something. And then you get through that whole prologue and you break out, and then it's all like, oh, you have to go into the world and fucking do this if you want to regain your humanity because you're technically an undead or some shit or whatever. And then, I mean, and I did play with my cousin, but the one reason I did want to play an Elder Scrolls MMO was because I wanted to play it with a friend, which is kind of where the co-op thing came in, like the discussion I had before with the I believe when I talk about Far Cry 4 in one of my last videos, I think it was, yeah, it was the last one. But whereas all like, cause me and a friend of mine, we really are like me and my best anyway. We're really into Elder Scrolls. Like we talk to each other like when we were playing Skyrim and like Oblivion for the first times. We would just talk to each other back and forth about that shit all the time. And that back when it came out and it was like brand new, but. Which is the reason why I want to get Elder Scrolls Online. I wanted to enjoy an Elder Scrolls experience with a friend. Only, as I said, I'm not into MMOs because I'm not into, like, I mean, I love RPGs, but the level it takes in MMOs is just too ridiculously high for me. Like, I couldn't stand the constant, ever fucking constant grinding, and like it just was a pain in the ass to level up in Elder Scrolls Online. It just seems like the only way to get really good amounts of experience was to complete quests, but if you're not really getting stronger, it's hard to complete those quests. And I mean, I wish I could tell you more about the game, but honestly, like I said, I didn't play it for very long. But that's kind of where my disinterest for that lies. I mean, I would like to keep playing it, but since it is an MMO, I don't have the space for it because it takes a gigantic fucking space on my hard drive, so I had to delete that shit, which I hate. Like, I wish I could just get like a PlayStation that has like fucking like 10,000 gigs on it or something. like that's probably out of this. Like, I don't know. I was like, that's probably very unpredictable to ask for, but or whatever the word is, I'm not sure, but you know what I mean. At least I hope so. Anyway, let's fuck that and continue on to the next game, which I have here is Tokaiden Kiwami. I hope I pronounced that right. Which I actually love Tokaiden Kiwami. Like, it's made by the same people who do Dynasty Wars, which is, you know, kind of so the like graphics and aesthetic appeal and kind of characters and kind of character creation sort of kind of always the same from like a Dynasty Warriors game. But I just love kind of like the story, because the story revolves around your own main character who you know set up and build along the way. Like, instead of just having like a, you know, set character with his own personality, you kind of make your own character and decide their own personality throughout, you know, actions throughout the game. And you know, you start off as like, and then Tokaido Kiwami, it's kind of weird. There's like, the world is jaded because all these demons and stuff are come over into our world, and as they are into our world, they infect our world with their like, they call it miasma in the game, which is, I guess, like a pollution, I guess would be the proper way to put it. Like, their mere existence in our world, like by this aura they emanate, pollutes ours, and like breaks reality. Because you go and like when you go out on missions, the whole like world of the mission that you're on, it's all like, they all take place in like different eras and stuff. Oh, excuse me, sorry. I'm a little tired. I just got home from work like an hour ago, so after a 10-hour shift, I'm a little exhausted. Sorry about that. No need to get in my real life right now. That's not why I'm here. But back to Tokoiden. But I mean, I guess the same reason why I said I love Dynasty Warriors 8 in, or it's 8, right? Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, the Dynasty Warriors 8 Empires. Sorry, I had to look that up. The same reason why I said I love that at the end of the episode is kind of the same reason why I love Tokaiden. Like, the story revolves around my own created main character, which was very interesting to me. And you establish relationships with the other main characters as you go throughout the game. And I was like, and I do like a lot of the other main characters. They're pretty hot. I mean, interesting. I didn't say hot. You didn't hear me say that. Never happened. Anyway, move on. Oh, this is fun. I have, oh, okay, Until Dawn, which, if any of you played this, and hell, even if you haven't, you've probably seen someone who has, or probably watched gameplay of someone playing it. Until Dawn was kind of like it was supposed to be a unique survival horror experience. It was kind of like you're playing a teen slasher horror movie, but you make the movie as it's going on. And it devolves into like a supernatural monster movie, which, I don't mean to spoil it, but it does. I'm sure, like, I don't know how the hell I could spoil that for anybody. I'm sure everyone knows about fucking Until Dawn by now. But that was kind of the interesting thing is, you know, if you get to decide if you get to play or you get to whatever, create the horror movie as it's going on. You can, you know, pretty much when if you figure out the game, you can kind of just kill off whoever you want, like, or you can, plan it out. Who dies here? Who lives? Screw that bitch. I fucking hate that bitch because she's a bitch. So she's gonna die when I shoot her in the face. Or like something else, like you get in like the first time I played the game, I was kind of sadistic. I was gonna admit that I was kind of a sadist when I first played the game. Was my goal was kill everyone, but I didn't want it to be like super easy. I wanted like the deaths to have kind of like a unique appeal in the game. But I still got like a little emotionally invested in some of the characters. Like I can't remember any of their names now. God, it's not usually what happens to me. I usually remember all of them. But there's two characters who kind of like they're really close friends, but they've always liked each other, but they've never admitted it. And like uh, one main character is Josh. It's like his best friend and the other girl that he likes. I when I first played the game, I made it to where there's two choices that happen where he gets his best friend has the choice to kill him, his best friend Josh, or the other girl that he likes. And there's a first like jigsaw puzzle like that where he has to choose who lives, who dies. And then uh, I move I made the decision for him to pick the girl the first time, but then Josh dies anyway, and I'm just thinking like, what the fuck? Why did this happen? I clearly picked her, and I was like, that can't be right. And then later, another pretty much the same scenario happens where they're like handcuffed to a table or whatever, and there's a gun in between the two of them. And there's only one bullet, and the gun's given to the guy, and he has to decide who lives and who dies. Either he kills himself or he kills her. But while this rotating saw blade lowers down until either no choice is made or he makes a choice. I didn't waste any time to hesitate. I tried to shoot that bitch in the face immediately as soon as possible. But because of doing that, later in the game when it becomes a supernatural monster kind of game, survival horror game, there's a part where he's getting chased by the monster or the whatever the fuck they were called, Wendigos, right? By through the mountain, he gets back to the what the hell they call that place again in the game, like cottage or whatever, or cabin. He gets to the cabin and he's like sitting there banging on the door, and she's at the door, but because I made him try to kill her twice in a row, she doesn't open the door, and she stands there and watches him fucking get killed by the Wendigo as it was chases him up, and but she has like this really like twisted evil look on her face, and I was just like, you bitch. That's all. Like, you fucking just murdered that guy. And I was just like, I'm totally going to kill you for this later. I actually like that guy. Even though I made him do terrible things. But anyway, that was kind of how that went. Like, and then later, I pretty much saved almost everybody. Who died again? I played it a second time, and I didn't remember who died. I think it was the Asian looking chick who was just a straight up bitch. Who I pretty much killed her the first time too because I couldn't stand that bitch. She is such a bitch. Anyway, so that's the fun of Eternal Dawn. It's kind of just like and in that way, that's why I said it was kind of a unique horror experience, survival horror, because you decide, you decide the game as it goes. Find the clues, don't find the clues, fuck the clues, find all the fucking clues, find the stories, find the totems, find the fucking whatever, find the I don't fucking know, find whatever. Anyway, I'm going to stop talking about that. Moving on. I'm dragging this out way too long. Alrighty, here's the next one, which is Star Wars Battlefront. And yes, it said Deluxe Edition on it. I pre-ordered the game and got the pre-order bonus. Even though the pre-order bonus is shit. Because if I remember right, the pre-order bonus was like Yeah, doesn't matter. It's stuff you unlock in the game if you play it enough anyway. I think the only thing that was special that is only consistent with the pre-order bonus is you get a pistol, which is pretty much I think it's Han Solo's pistol or blaster pistol or something like that. The DL-44, whatever the hell that is, which is the most strongest like pistol, or actually is the most damaging like weapon in the game. Like it's every like weapon has a different like skill tree for like a rate of fire, reload time, or cooldown time, whatever you want to call that, damage, and I believe it says something else, but I don't remember what it was. So I know there's 4 different attributes every weapon has. And damage on that blaster rifle, that blaster pistol, is the highest. Like it's always a full, and that's like no other weapon is like that, I think, except for one. Which just sucks because sometimes on like I tried using it a lot at first, but then I am a terrible shot at multiplayer. Like I can't. I literally my choice of weapon is something that has a high rate of fire because I have no fucking aim. So trying to kill someone with a fucking semi-automatic weapon for me is not very yeah, it's not gonna happen. But Star Wars Battlefront, it's okay. Like it was really fun at first, but then it got really annoying and really old really quick. I think it would be better, like it would have been better if some kind of story mode was incorporated instead of just being it's straight multiplayer only. And there is somewhat of co-op, but the co-op would be much better if it was only like if it was more than 2 people only, because there is like a survival mode in the game, but you can only have up to 2 people, but which is weird considering most survival game modes or like survival co-op modes in other games usually involve more players than that, at least 4, right? Give you something more to do all the time besides, you know, play multiplayer and shoot other people and, you know, die all the time. I mean, that's probably more my story than some other you people, but I'm not very good at multiplayer. I'm not gonna lie about that. I've never been really good at multiplayer, so there's that. So that's all I'm going to say about that because I really don't care much about that. So let's move on to our next entry here, which is I don't know if it's showing up too well on the screen. The Tales of Zestiria. I think that's how that's pronounced. Forgive me again if I don't pronounce the names of these correctly. But Tales of Zestiria. I need to get more into this game because I actually like this game because I love the Tales RPG series. Like I announced before at the start of the video, as I like RPGs when I talk about Elder Scrolls Online, and I love the Tales series. Like I bought Tales of Graces on the PS3, and it was my first entry into the Tales series, which some of you might disagree with me on this as being agree, disagree. You can whatever you want. It's your opinion. You're entitled to that. But I believe Tales of Graces was the shit. I still so far to this day is my favorite Tales game, even though it's technically the only other one I've played besides this one and that one. Some of you will probably be out there and tell me you need to play Vesperia or whatever shit it is. Or Symphonia. I know there's something called that or whatever it is in the Tales series. But that's why I love the Tales games because Tales of Graces was like it left us such an impact on me. Like it's such a good RPG. Like the story, the characters, the gameplay was pretty solid too, and like the game mechanics, like everything was just it was kind of simple and easy to understand, which is why I also like. I didn't like some RPGs like they get really too heavily into like a complex amount of shit, and it's just like why? This kind of breaks the enjoyment of the game for me. Like, whatever. But like I said, I haven't played too much of Tales of Zestiria. Like, I am at the point where most people say the game gets a lot better. I used to work with someone who I don't think he had Zestiria, but I remember working with someone who said the oh wait, yeah, he had Zelia. Never mind. This then I ain't gonna connect to this at all, but kind of still the same kind of with this is the I just got to the point where the main character got his like as well. I didn't just get to this point. I've played a little bit after that, but I've got to mostly the point where the main character, the protagonist or whatever you want to call him, has just gotten like the the special powers that he has or that he's privileged to using because he's a special person, whatever the fuck you want to call him. Like I'm trying to so hard to explain this without like spoiling it. So sorry if something like sounds really confusing as I talk about it. But yeah, I just got to like a little. I've played a little bit after the point where he's become this special important person and he's got these special powers, which is kind of where the series usually jumps off, is when the character kind of comes in, which is well when that God, I can't fucking talk. Uh, which is kind of the point where most of these games kind of finally launch and take off and finally keep you intrigued and pulled in the whole time. So I will say that, like, I mean, but I will say when I was playing it at first and some of the main characters were meeting, like their like interaction, like the cutscene interaction between the main characters meeting for the first time, I wasn't really dissatisfied with it. I was like, I mean, the voice acting was fine. It was just the acting of the characters themselves, like their body movements and everything. It just felt like awkwardly stiff or something. I'm not sure how to explain this exactly. It just felt off. I mean, it wasn't bad at first, but then it kind of explains why later. And it's just like, oh, it was stiff because she couldn't see him, but he could see her, like they could see her. Which is going to sound really weird as I say this because I'm not telling you what exactly is happening, but you just have to play it to find out because I'm not going to tell you. And that's probably an awkward advertisement, but I'm just going to leave it at that. So anyway, let's drop that and move on. I'm gonna explore more of that later, so maybe I'll talk about. I have more to talk about later. But moving on, we have. Oh God, fucking glare off that. I have. God damn it! I know I've probably already seen this. Need for Speed. I got that because I really wanted a racing game. Like I think in my first video, I have a game called Drive Club, which was in the first part of these collection videos, which I told you why I wanted a racing game. I wanted a solid racing game on my PS4. Drive Club sucks at giving me that sucked at delivering me that experience. So I was like, no, I'll try Need for Speed. I've tried Need for Speed in the past. I've liked some of this stuff. I like Most Wanted. I like Underground. I like uh, what other games did I play? I don't remember. I know I've played at least one or two other ones. But I like those ones, and I was like, you know what, those are pretty usually entertaining racing games. So I got Need for Speed for the PS4, and you know what, it wasn't too bad at first. I kind of liked how easy it was to drift. It was just really, I don't know, maybe it was just because of the car I picked. In the beginning, you get to pick out of one of three cars, and I picked one of them was like an old Mustang, like it's like old like '90s Mustang. Which you could argue with me as like, oh, a Mustang, you piece of shit. Why would you pick you? Of course you would pick the Mustang. I was like, I'm sorry. Mustang's been one of my favorite cars for like since I was like 5. So screw up. But it was literally just like, oh, turn the wheel a little and hit the brake, and it's just like, oh, I've entered, drift mode, like, or I've started a drift. And all I have to really do is just keep maintaining my steering and my gas, like my acceleration. I was like, oh, I went around the corner over and I've stopped drifting. Go, speed off, accelerate to the straightaway, and then hit another turn. I was like, oh, drift again. I like how easy it was for me in that. But the racing was also pretty solid too, though the free mode part where you drive around the city and you're using the GPS to go find shit, like it's markers are like the GPS like marker or whatever you want to call that. It's a little deceiving at first. Like I found myself driving like I would be like driving along, like following me, and all of a sudden the marker would suddenly stop and like fucking, you know, bend off and go this whole other direction. I'm like, okay, why? And it kind of like it just would make a lot of fucking mistakes for me. But it was a pretty still a pretty fun racing game. Like I still, as I want to say, like I didn't get too heavily into it. I didn't get past my first car, so I wouldn't trust my opinion on this too much. But I will tell you, I did have fun playing it. It is a fun racing game. I do recommend getting it if you are into racing games. If you want to explore that, like the story was actually pretty solid. From what I played, the story seemed kind of solid. But everything like that, it was all good. And now I have Fallout 4. That's right, I have Fallout. I'm not gonna tell you, so you're like, oh, worship him. He has Fallout. I was like, I, as I said, like I love Elder Scrolls, which is why I bought Fallout, which is kind of, you might say it's kind of a stupid reason for me to say that, because Fallout and Elder Scrolls games are not really anything alike. I mean, sure, they're both technically RPGs and kind of have sort of the same like gameplay and game mechanics, but I don't know. It's just the setting is kind of like breaking, I guess. I guess the setting is really what breaks the worlds apart between, or what breaks the two worlds apart. Because as anyone can tell you, Fallout is about a post-apocalyptic setting after fucking like nuclear fallout, post-apocalyptic, post-apoc setting. Sorry, but oh, still tired. Sorry, I got a yawn. Okay, sorry about that. But Fallout, I wanted to get into Fallout 3 back when it was first came out back on the PS3, and I tried to. I really did. I swear to God, I did. I just I started over too many times. Like I kept starting over and doing the prologue. Like I did like 4 times in a row because I was like, all right, I'm gonna start over and make my person this way, and then I'm gonna pick these dialogue options and see what happens. Like what happens this time? And like, oh, I want to go back, and I'm like, oh, I didn't like that. I'm gonna start over and see what happens if I pick this. And I was like, got to the end where you're about to get out of the vault, and I was like, no, fuck that. I'm gonna go back over and start over and do this time. And then I was like, no, fuck that, do it again. I was just like, and then I kind of made myself hate the game doing that. So, which is why I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna make one character, and I'm gonna start with that one fucking character, and then I'm gonna play the game. So, which is why I started playing Fallout 4, because after doing that, I avoided Fallout 3 for so long because that, which I just explained. And then I started doing Fallout 4, and Fallout 4 is no, it is not bad. Like I will say, I did like the first like quest it kind of got thrown into right away, or at least the one I chose to do right away, which was in like a town, the nearest town nearby when you start playing the game. And it kind of it throws you into the action pretty quickly, which is kind of a good deal for me because I don't like. I mean, sure, exploration is a part of the game. I get that, but I want to be emotionally invested in the game right away. Like, I get the fact, okay, it's a nuclear fallout, and yeah, everything's all fucked. That doesn't really compel me to be into the story of the game. It's, I have to get like I need a motivation. I need a reason for why I want to play this game or keep playing it. And I would say Fallout 4 does pretty good delivery of that. As I bet, I can't really give you too much of about Fallout 4. As I said, like as I don't know if I said that or not. I didn't play it all that much yet. I have maybe a few hours so far into it. Like as I said, like I didn't really get too heavily into it, but I will play more. I know I will eventually. It's just not my biggest concern right now. So dropping that, moving on. Here I have WWE 2K16, and I have this game, and there it is again, and that's see, I have it. Yeah, I get it. Okay, I can't say a whole lot because I have the game and didn't really play it all that much. I bought it because I love wrestling games. Like I love SmackDown versus Raw. Like I was into those games, which is why I was like, you know what? I haven't played a wrestling game for a long time. I'm gonna go back and do it again, see if it still fills me with that odd, bizarre enjoyment that I got from playing it. Because I used to love I loved watching wrestling as a kid. I watched wrestling back in the Attitude Era, back in the mid to late '90s when pretty much everybody fucking watched wrestling back then. Even though now, as I obviously grown up, I know that's all that shit is scripted and all falls on like some kind of they follow a script, whatever. But even then, I still like wrestling. You know, there's a there's an appeal about the whole like the physical conditioning and the story building and everything that they try to do, I guess, or they make, whatever. And I was like, all right, well, let's see if I can get that enjoyment out of a wrestling game. So I bought WWE. So I looked up the recent one. I got to do. Actually, I remember this now. I remember when I looked it up, like I bought that off Amazon, which is where I pretty much get all my games. But I remember when I was looking at like the on Amazon, it'll be like this, includes like this. It'll list off like all these different like things about the game. And I remember one of like the selling points that they tried to make about the game is that uh and like I remember this clearly because it said WWE Superstar Hall of Famer or whatever and legend. I don't remember exactly the terminology, but it says WWE Superstar Hall of Famer Steve Austin makes his debut as the wrestler on the video game cover. And I was just like, that's a selling point. I was like, who's on the cover? And I was like, I could tell you who's on the cover, even I couldn't tell you who's on the cover. I don't fucking care. And so I'm like, that's not a selling point. Who's on the cover? Like that doesn't make me want to get the game just because Stone Cold is on it. You could slap Undertaker on it, and I still wouldn't buy that shit. I mean, I probably would buy that shit. Undertaker is my favorite wrestler. So sorry, you guys. That's my stance, and that's just where I leave on that. But if I'm reading selling points of the game, I want to know why the game is good. Telling me who's on it does not tell me why the game is good. Like, which is why I hate that kind of marketing. Like, I'm just sometimes this makes me wish I want to go to these people's marketing meetings and then show them we all like you guys are fucking retarded. So I was like, nothing about that fact makes me want to get the game. If someone did buy it just because Stone Cold is on it, I will tell me and I will go fucking stab them with a knife. Oh, that's kind of extreme. I won't do that. I will just point at them and call them fucking retarded. I was all like, you might as well just give me your money because you're pretty much, getting robbed. Anyway, okay, moving on. Wait, not moving on just yet. I have more to talk about WWE 2K16. I know I said I didn't play it as much, but I did play it a little bit. I did create my own character, which is kind of why I also liked kind of the WWE back in the day. It was the whole character creation, create your own superstar, live my own weird fantasy about being a WWE superstar. But there was one thing I couldn't stand in the new game. Like I just couldn't get it to work. Maybe because it was just because my character, like when you start your own character and you start his own like story, he's literally starting up from the ground up from fucking the bare minimum. So he has like all of his skill traits and skill sets are like zip. Like they're not exactly zero, but they suck. So you have to use the points you acquire throughout playing, matches to build up your character. But the my character had a move that was a submission. But when you start submissions in this new game, you start this weird like analog stick mini game where you have to rotate your analog stick around. There's like this little circle will pop up in like the bottom middle of the screen, and it's all like your opponent controls this little bar that he will move around this circle with his analog stick. You control this smaller bar that you have to keep inside of his for a long period of time in order to fill this submission meter. And once it's filled, you'll successfully complete the submission, and maybe you'll make him tap out. And it's just like, oh, and you move your bar around the same way by rotating the stick around. I could never get that fucking thing to work because I'd always start it and I always do good at the very half, like the first like half of the submission, and then after a while it's like, oh, for some reason your bar doesn't want to move as you fucking move around the joystick, and he's already like his bar is moved over here and it's just sitting right there because you literally can't fucking move yours no matter how many fucking times you rotate the stick around. Or at least and then you start rotating around too many times, and all of a sudden it goes fucking Sonic and just goes spin dashes all over the fucking place. And I just couldn't stand that whole new submission mechanic. Like yeah, it. I was like, and submission was like, I mean, I usually pick a submission move because I like having a little variety between my character moves. So there was that. Just another reason why I liked the game. But okay, now we're moving on. And I'm talking about Far Cry Primal. I've actually played this a good deal. And I mean, yes, it's a Far Cry game, and yes, I got it because it's Far Cry. You can blame me for that if you want. But so it's the Stone Age setting of a Far Cry game, and if it wasn't for subtitles, I wouldn't understand a goddamn thing anyone's saying in the game. Because of course, since it's set back in fucking like 10,000 BC or whatever the hell they say in the game, I know that I don't think they use BC as the terminology, but back in the Stone Ages or whatever, they obviously didn't speak the language that we are speaking now, that I'm speaking right now to you, and they always talk on some weird like mumbo jumbo blah, 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 blahs and clicks of the tongue and weird and like they speak a weird ass fucking language, just to say that. And if it wasn't for subtitles, I wouldn't understand anything a goddamn person is saying that whole fucking game. But anyway, it's still really fun. Like the characters are all pretty interesting. They all have their own emotionally stimulating kind of, or at least not maybe emotionally stimulating. They're stimulating enough to be interesting. There's pretty good variety between the character personalities and everything, all that stuff. The weapons aren't too bad either. I mean, sure, it was reminiscent of like, it's like, okay, you ever did hunting in Far Cry games, like at least the past ones, like 3 or 4? It's like, okay, now do that, but all the time. Pretty much what the Primal was like. It's all like you're constantly hunting all the time. But not to say it's a bad thing. There's a new mechanic where you involve where you get to control an animal, or at least you get to control one animal at a time, and instead of binoculars, now you have an owl that you'll see through. You can send him out, and after you upgrade the owl enough, you can actually make him attack people, which is kind of a bonus. I was like, it'd be awesome if your binoculars could also shoot somebody, but that's kind of like a James Bond game, so we're not going to talk about that. That's more like Bond style, I guess, would be the proper terminology right here. But anyway, Far Cry Primal was actually pretty good. Like, I would recommend it for anybody. And then I have a, if I can get this to show up right. I have Dark Souls 3. I actually had to wait to get this. Like, I also bought this off of Amazon, but when like there was literally, I literally looked it on Amazon like 3 days after it was Dark Souls 3 was officially released on shelves, and I sound like a robot talking right And it was like, yeah, it was like 3 days later after Dark Souls 3 hit the shelves, and I went to order it. When they told me, I was like, oh, you're gonna have to like there's none left in stock. There's like we're restocking our supply in like 3 days, so you're gonna be waiting like a week and a half before you get this game. And I was like, holy shit! I was like, this game is literally so popular that Amazon like is sold out of them right away. And I was like, holy shit, that's not something that happens all that often. I was like, so this must be a pretty good fucking game if it's already sold out on fucking Amazon. And I wouldn't deny that. I guess it's a pretty good game. Like, I mean, I'm not a masochist, and you kind of have to be one if you want to play Dark Souls. The the thing that I hate in MMOs, which is kind of the necessary thing you need to do just in order to survive, hell, that literally almost accomplish anything in fucking Dark Souls. I mean, sure, someone out there could probably be like, that's not necessary. You can fucking do anything. Like, you can you can be successful at the game. Like, yeah, if you're good. I'm not. I need to grind for fucking 3 or 4 days straight, and then I can kill the next monster, and then I'll grind for another 3 days, and then I can kill the next monster after that. Like that's literally what that game is like for me, which is why I don't really play it all that much. And I mean, it was fun, and like I remember playing the prologue, and I made I think it was like the mercenary character. I think I made. And the only reason I picked him is because, like, oh, the character can dual wield. And I was like, all right, if he can dual wield, that means my DPS, which stands for damage per second, if you know didn't understand that, my you know damage per second that I'll do should be higher than higher than anybody else's out, like higher than anybody else's starting out. God, I can't talk tonight. Probably should have rested up before I decided to do this video, but screw that. I'm doing it right now. Or I have been already doing it for 40 minutes. So let's keep doing it. In Dark Souls 3, when I did the prologue and you get to the kind of like the first stage boss at the end of the prologue, that dude was stupid, unnecessarily harder than he needed to be, especially for someone like me, for my character who had no ranged attacks. I had to get up close and personal and hit that motherfucker, and like I'm not very good at dodging. Like I learned his attack pattern enough to learn how to successfully dodge and evade one of his attacks. And I literally exploited that the whole time. I'm like, all right, I'm getting a good, get as far away from him as possible. And then when I do that, he's gonna stop, kind of like kneel down, kind of squat down a little bit, and then he jumps through the air and fucking, soars through the air towards you to fucking impale you with his spear. Like he's literally like a living like suit of armor or whatever. And then I was like, all right, I've got the timing down where I know when he's like halfway through the air towards me is when I need to dodge and like roll off to one side, like left or right side. And then I can get up behind him with my with my dual swords and hit him a couple times in the back before I have to, roll dodge backwards a couple times again, and then fucking, just keep backing up and create more distance to where he jumps at me again. I was like, all right, I've got a good, system working. I got a good balance or whatever. I got a good system working out here. Like, he hasn't hit me once. I've been, exploiting this one attack that he does all the time. And like when I finally hit him again, it caused his health to go down halfway. Then he fucking transformed, and I was like, what the fuck? He has a second form? This is not shit you want in your first floor boss. Like, I'm a shit. I get it. Dark Souls games are fucking stupid hard. They're known for that. But that is literally some shit I don't want in my RPG. I was like, this fucking game was hard enough already. Like, I really didn't need a fucking first boss with the second form after his health goes down halfway and his attack pattern changes. And I was like, God fucking damn it. And then he killed me because of the fucking second form thing. And then I fucking fought him again like 4 more times. And finally, after like the fucking 10th time of fighting him in a row, I finally killed this son of a bitch. because I found out he still did the same attack after I got far enough away, and which I still, and then I still exploited it, and I finally managed to kill him after that. But it was still stupid fucking hard, and it pissed me off, and it kind of made me not want to play the game anymore. Even though I still did afterwards. But yeah. Which is why I said you kind of need to be a masochist in order to, be or help to be successful at Dark Souls. Because immediately after that, it's like, all right, kill all the small times person. It's like, oh, there's a bronze statue. Like there's a bronze warrior person that's literally at the top of these stairs. Like, oh, he can't be any worse than that knight dude. Like, nope, he's just as bad, and he killed me immediately. And I was like, you motherfuckers! Like after I had to deal with that living knight statue, whatever the fuck you want to call it, I have to deal with this shit. Like 2 minutes right after that, I was like, no, fuck this. I'm probably gonna keep playing the game a little bit, but I'm gonna fucking quit for now. But anyway, that's kind of where my stance on Dark Souls 3 is. Like, I mean, if you guys loved it, good for you. Like, guys can love all that game all you want. I just don't care for it as much. But yeah. Well, that's all I got for today. I am your PlayStation Gamer Chaos Val, and I am signing off. Sayonara.